Hey everyone, I'm Noble Absinthe, and welcome back to my Samurai Jack Retrospective. Today we're on episode 13, and the finale of Season 1, Aku's Fairy Tales. Let's get started. Our episode begins with children playing a game of pretend, Jack versus Aku, with the kids having an overwhelming preference for our hero. Turns out playing Aku was the cool thing to do until our badass hero arrived. Now every kid on the block wants to be like Samurai Jack. Aku notices this, and is jealous as balls. He wants to be the hero in their hearts, so he decides to forcefully corral them into a gymnasium and force-feed them stories. This is actually a really great setup for a story, fitting for someone so petty and egotistical. And it just gets right to the point. Aku's first story is about a mighty devourer of worlds that would eventually set its sights on Earth. A powerful warrior, wielding a spear of truth, impaled the demon and transformed it into beef jerky. And then the people ate the jerky, and never went hungry again. Oh, and the hero was actually Aku the whole time. Yeah, it seemed like Aku's first story didn't seem to reach any of the children. He believes he must dumb it down even further for them by giving them fairy tales. His first fairy tale is about Little Red Riding Hood, the girl with
great flaming eyebrows
and
laser eye beams.
He concludes his first fairy tale to an audience of unenthused children. That's the face of pure disappointment right there. One of the children stands up and tells Aku that even though his ability to tell a story is great, they would much rather have a story be about Samurai Jack.
What?
It's a good thing that kid started off his question with a compliment, or he would be a pile of ashes right now. I mean, just look at Aku. Now that's the face of a man who got kicked right in the pride. Our next story is about Jack and the three bears. They made some overly hot porridge and decided to frolic around outside. Jack comes by to take it from them and destroys their home. When they return, they see Jack sleeping in Little Bear's bed. The story is cut short because one kid just calls Aku on Jack's behavior, pretty much just calling it bullshit. Aku agrees, and he tries again. The next story is a spin on the three little pigs and their houses. This time it's a house made of straw, wood, and brick, just to get right to the point. And we get ourselves a Shining reference.
Here's Jackie.
This story is also cut short because Aku is starting to frighten the children. Come on, man, what the fuck's wrong with you? They're kids. So he tries again. And again. Over and over again, until Aku doesn't even bother narrating and just shits on Jack the whole time. Aku ends his line of stories by just up and saying that he just existed and killed Jack, the end, and just bails because he thinks kids are stupid. One kid gets up, and we as the audience get a real story about Samurai Jack. One that isn't just fitting for children, but for everyone. We have Jack scaling an eerie castle on a misty night. Jack must first face off and defeat a mutant guard. He continues onward, battle damaged, and makes it to the very top of the castle where he faces off against Aku. As the tension rises while staring each other down, we get some dialogue. Then they finally face off. And with one powerful strike, Jack slices Aku in half and finally destroys him. Jack then sheaths his blade, stating that he can now return to the past. This episode is cute. If you wanted an ending for the show, this episode could be one of those endings. We get the battle we should have gotten when this series was initially released, and it was told through a child's point of view. I really just found this episode to be a nice fun ride, and Aku's stories were so juvenile yet funny, as deconstructions for Jack's character, but they didn't accomplish anything, aside from just being one big slapstick comedy. And that's okay, because that's what this episode went for. It was a comedic episode through and through, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like this episode establishes a few core character traits for Aku that I hope we get to see in Season 5. Aku is this conceited character. He only thinks of himself, and the way he carries himself is very petty. He may be this monster, and he is evil, but he's not some generic bad guy. I mean, just look at the premise of this episode. Aku is jealous of Jack being popular, so he wants to become popular. It shows a sense of insecurity and shallowness in Aku. It gives him depth, beyond just being this stereotypical big bad conqueror of worlds. He's an evil asshole with a lot of character traits. Because he's jealous of Jack and how he responds to the children, it kind of humanizes him in a way, and you sort of forget that he's this all-powerful wizard. You kind of feel bad for him when the children just don't care for his stories. What I really like about this episode was that it shows that Aku's influence, even over the course of thousands of years, still hasn't polluted the innocent minds of children. The parents of these children know how evil he is, but kids are brought up knowing what right and wrong are, even though in this world, wrong rules it, so you have to bow your head. I usually think kids in fiction are depicted as very impressionable, and to an extent, there's a reason for that. Because it's kinda true. Kids are the easiest age bracket to brainwash, but here we have to give credit to kids, because they know what side to root for. This episode is great because Aku is trying his absolute hardest to shit on Jack. But the new generation isn't gullible. They know who their hero is. I feel like there's some real subtext in this episode that we shouldn't look down on children's stories or media. Kids aren't as dumb as we think they are. Remember, Samurai Jack is a cartoon, and cartoons are generally directed towards kids. But you certainly wouldn't think that upon watching what we've seen so far. There's dark elements to this show, more suited for adults, but it can be enjoyed by children just as much. We have a heroic character that is going to slay a big bad monster, and that's all that matters for kids. And adults, we can enjoy the finer details of it. As a finale for Season 1, I felt like it hit all the right notes. It contrasts the majority of the season by changing the naming convention even, from Jack and insert thing here, and gave us a complete Aku episode that ends with him being defeated. If Samurai Jack was cancelled after Season 1, it would be an okay end for the series, but thankfully it continues on. I'm glad we capped off the first season with a bang. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'm amazed we made it to 500 subs. This is a great milestone. We're getting more and more of you guys here every day, and that makes me really happy. Anyway, if you like what you saw, please subscribe and tick that chime next to it to stay updated. Likes and shares are always super nice, and I do read every comment. The next few videos are going to be a little bit different, and I have to upload a review for the first episode in Season 5, so yeah, there's that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.